The cliched phrase may say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes words can be more than enough to strike. There has been much study and interest in the subject of last words as a way to try to understand and grasp a part of reality that most people fear, but are also drawn to in its mystery. But what about the words left behind by those who readily went to their deaths under their own power? According to both the Hagakure and D.T. Suzuki's Zen Buddhism and its influence in Japanese culture, the way of the samurai is found in death. Bushido means the determined will die. They were taught that when you are at the parting of the ways, do not hesitate to choose the way to death. We all want to live. In a large part, we make our logic according to what we like. Therefore, every morning and evening, have the idea of death vividly impressed in your mind. When your determination to die at any moment is thoroughly established, you attain to perfect mastery of Bushido, your life will be faultless, and your duties are fully discharged. The relationship of honor and death within Bushido is, clearly, one of the most important aspects to adhere to. The bond between a samurai and his lord were intertwined, but every warrior followed with the knowledge that his journey will end in his death, either by the enemy or his own hand, and he must meet it head-on, clear-headed and unafraid, with enough serenity to write out his last words in a poem before he meets it. Death poems, for many of these warriors, were the last things they left behind of themselves as individuals, their advice, their regrets, and their true opinions about the life and world they were leaving behind. Holding forth this sword, I cut vacuity in twain, in the midst of the great fire, a stream of refreshing breeze. Like a rotten log half buried in the ground, my life, which has not flowered, comes to this sad end. Had I not known that I was dead already, I would have mourned my loss of life. Both the victor and the vanquished are but drops of dew, but bolts of lightning. Thus should we view the world. When the day is done, I take a tree for my lodge on my weary way. Lying under its broad boughs, a flower is my sole host. Autumn wind of eve, blow away the clouds that mass over the moon's pure light, and the mists that cloud our mind, do thou sweep away as well. Now we disappear. Well, what must we think of it? From the sky we came, now we may go back again. That's at least one point of view. This spiritual task continued through the years in Japan, with death poems being written by many people who were faithful to the Zen practice during times of peace. When World War II came, the way of Bushido rose once again, especially among the kamikaze pilots. It is, not surprisingly, harder to objectively read the words left behind by these men because they are not relics, so to speak, from centuries past. While they may have written these words in the same context as the samurai of old, and for much the same purpose, they are closer to home, and therefore hold more profound sentiments that are harder to distance oneself from. We are schooled as kamikaze artists to inaugurate our own deaths with words. We are all moving towards our own deaths with the awkward speed of an antique bomber. We are not unique. We measure life in war and reconciliation. We surprise ourselves with our own vengeance and then forgive ourselves readily when we are at peace. We hold dear chaotic memory. We only understand as we are ending that we never understood anything at all. That is the way until we find one another. There are my eyes, and the mountain leans too close. I am the dust at its base. There is no fear to stop me. There is no anger to stop me. There is no love to stop me. There is no death. The flowers I will throw over the mountain mocks my trembling hands. Cowardice has 3 fangs. One for my heart, one for my skin, one for my tongue. When it happens, I will be afraid. I am not a liar. I am courageous. The sun sips the sky until it is drowning. I am circling my prey. If I am strong, the world will finally let us be. My grandparents taught my parents how to raise birds, how their wings would beat against the caged door. The clouds walk fingers over the mountain. Yesterday I slept. Today I do not. I have only a few more moments, and I can still see the moon in the day sky. We become clear only at the end, when the pond is covered over with leaves. What are the themes common to this kind of poetry? Impermanence, the fleetingness of beauty, the dominance of fate, one's place in the world, courage, honor, loyalty, fear, loss. In few other mediums can this kind of raw veracity be revealed. According to Plato, poetry is nearer to vital truth than history. While these poems have lost some of their significance in their translation to English, they still manage to give the deepest of impressions. It is rather difficult to look at these works as anything but the skeletons of truth believed by the lost men who created them. In this way, they are still able to teach us, though what we may learn from them will be just as challenging to express. If anything, they remind us not to forget what is important.